This week's episode, we're at Patagonia. It got quite long, so we've decided to split it into two parts. This is the first part. We hope you enjoy.
It was really good, actually.
Hello, welcome to this week's episode of the Running Shorts podcast presented by Accelerate. We're in a pretty cool place.
Very exciting!
A little bit different to normal, eh?
It is.
And we've got someone quite cool here.
We're actually here in Manchester at Patagonia, and we are joined by Alex.
Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you for having us, actually, I think.
It's my pleasure. Harvey, I just want to say thank you for calling me cool. It usually happens twice in your life, right?
Oh, we can do it again.
No, that's okay. Once is enough.
Yeah, for a £5 we can say anything you want. You know, we don't mind.
I'll give you a tenner for that.
Well, quid's in, mate.
Super cool, isn't it?
That's dinner sorted. So, seriously, thanks for having us along.
My pleasure.
And I think a great place to start would be, who are you?
Who am I?
Apart from Alex.
Okay.
So, obviously you work for Patagonia, so
Yeah.
what is it you do, Alex?
Okay. I suppose the thing you have to always talk about first there is you usually talk about your title, right? I always find it a little bit uncomfortable to say title because it implies something, but my title is Regional Manager for Northern Europe. What does that mean? I look after the wholesale strategy across that region, so UK, Ireland and all the Nordic countries. I coordinate the sales across that area. I support the marketing, I support the direct channel, and I support the NGOs that we look after there and help our mission in any way that I can do across those territories. That was one thing. That's Patagonia, Alex.
Yeah, so what does Alex do?
The other Alex.
Yeah.
No, what's the other Alex?
The Alex is a father, son, friend, whatever all those things are. I was thinking about this in a way that makes sense for Accelerate. Then I'm an outdoors person. I love the outdoors and have them for a long time. I've been blessed to work in the trade for 20 years because of that interest. I like being outdoors. I don't class myself as a runner, but I love running. I don't class myself as a cyclist, but I love cycling. I'm not a climber, but I've tried climbing.
Sounds like you didn't love that one.
No, my late father-in-law always had a thing about that. We did Troutdale Pinnacle Lakeland Classic one summer when we were holidaying in the lakes, and my wife and our son Daniel, he'd be about 2 at the time. We had an amazing day. It was great. We topped out and then did a couple of scrambles on the way home, and then walked in the door, and then Sally kind of said, "Oh, good, you're back. I can relax now." And I thought, I don't know if I can do it. And my father-in-law Peter, who's been a climber all the way through his life, he said at that point, when I stopped climbing because of that, he said, "I knew you weren't a climber." Because if you were a climber, you'd keep going.
Yeah.
So I think it was right to stop. Yeah. So
Yeah, but
I'm not a climber.
it's a reason enough sometimes, isn't it? And
I think so. Yeah.
it's priorities as well, isn't it?
Yes.
So, which is always cool.
Have you got into skiing at all with Nordic countries, or is that something that's still
Do
yet to be touched?
you know what? Do you know? I still have that thing where, to me, skiing isn't as cool as snowboarding, and because snowboarding was so painful to learn, I've never tried skiing. I've stuck with snowboarding. So when I can, I snowboard. But
I was the other way around. Everybody said you should be snowboarding. No, I've just got to grips with 2 things, let alone 1.
Yeah. I did it the other way around. I thought this looks really complicated. I'll learn one thing because on one thing it must be easy to control than having to control 4 things. I just have to think about one.
Yeah, I'm with Alex.
It just hurt.
Once you can snowboard, you can surf and skateboard.
Yeah, but you kind of have that background, don't you? I don't. We didn't have snowboarding when I was whatever age it was. It was 2 skiers, then they got shorter and everything else. And
Yeah.
then suddenly there was this, why are you on a surfboard at the ski slope? Which then became a skateboard without wheels. So it's interesting. I guess then if we're in Manchester, you must live somewhere either in the Pennines or the Peaks, I'm guessing.
Neither. No, I live in the Yorkshire Dales.
Do you?
Yeah, I live in Ilkley. Yeah,
Nice one.
I love it there. Yes. Yeah, we used to go on holiday there as a kid.
And now you live there?
And now I live there. I got a chance to move back up north oh god, a long time, too long ago to care to admit. And Ilkley was the place where we decided to live.
Yeah, I mean, we both obviously run, but we still opportunity to do it in a piece. When it calls, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You sometimes just got to go do it.
That's the truth of it. I had it's such a great place to be able to go running. The moor's amazing, and then the dales, just instant access to outdoor.
Yeah, I love the Yorkshire Dales.
Yeah.
That's my wife to marry me in the Yorkshire Dales in the middle of a hike.
Nice place. Where were you walking? That was Debbie, right?
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah, no, it was.
Sorry to check.
Yeah, I'm in trouble now, aren't I? Yeah, it was Debbie. We're actually coming round the back of Pen-y-Ghent, about to go to up Horsehead Moor at Fox House.
Yeah, nice place.
Or Fox Up.
Fox Up.
So we're around the back of that.
Yeah.
In the middle of a meadow near a barn. Similar conditions to today, actually.
Biblical.
Yeah, it pretty much was, actually. And she kind of said yes, but there was about 50 conditions related to it, which was quite good fun. Not to us, to the process of getting married.
Sounds like a whole other conversation.
So it was a whole. The whole of the walk, the rest of the walk was dominated by it, and there's absolutely nothing there that was just like, it was just all perfectly cool. It was great.
Yeah.
So yes, so it's excellent. Tell us about Patagonia, because obviously there's going to be a lot of people that just see it as a, let's be honest, it's just a brand of clothing or equipment, and it's more, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. I can't help the intake of breath.
I know, and we get this in the store, don't we? Peterborough people and their approach to, if you like, all of this side of things.
Yeah.
It's just this lack of education, really, lack of understanding.
Maybe that's our fault too. I think
we're all guilty of that at times,
possibly.
and probably higher up to lower down. It's
Yeah, possibly. Yeah, communication's key in everything.
Yeah, it is,
isn't it?
and it's also sometimes the hardest thing.
Yes. So based on that, then, the hardest thing to talk about a company that's been around for over 50 years. How do you sum it up? Let's do start. Then we're a climbing company first. So Yvonne Chouinard, who's kind of still the owner, although he's giving it away, but we'll talk about that
Yeah,
later.
we can come on to that, can't we?
Yvonne started, he's been a climber. He taught himself to make carabiners. He's taught himself to be a blacksmith, designed his own carabiners, made those, sold it to friends, did that for 6-7 months out of the year. Then with the money they got, they all went off to Yosemite climbing. Did that up until about end of the 60s, and then came to the UK on a climbing trip, went to Scotland, saw all the rough and gnarly climbers doing trad climbing and wearing rugby shirts, because rugby shirts lasted for ages. Decided to import those because they lasted a long time and they had cool colours. So he imported a load in from Umbro over to California.
Must have done a bomb on Harlequins t-shirts on rugby shirts.
You would have done actually.
Absolutely bomb, yeah.
For sure. Imported a load in and then sold out amazingly well, and then realised very quickly, actually I can make better margin from apparel. And then I climbed from just doing climbing hardware, so imported more rugby shirts, started his own line, then went on a climbing trip all the way down to Patagonia, came back from that trip and decided I'm going to do apparel, and Patagonia was born. That was 1972. And then since then we've done a whole host of different outdoor gear, but I think the two most formative years in that 50-year period since 72 are about 1984, when we started taxing ourselves for the damage we were doing to the planet. So we started giving away 1% of our profits in 1984, which a couple of years later turned to 1% of our global sales. Because
That's a big step.
Yeah, it was a big step, it was huge, but the company and the family at the time felt that was a really important way to tax ourselves for what we were doing. And then the other one was July of 91, where we'd been gearing up for another year of about 45-50% growth, but it didn't happen because of a recession, and the family ended up laying off about 25% of the workforce, which, bearing in mind, we'd mostly recruited friends and family of people that worked within the company, really hit the family home, and they felt that that was kind of a benchmark for what we were doing to the planet. So after that period, took management team and key individuals down to Patagonia for a philosophy workshop, if you can say that, where they came back and decided, okay, we're an environmental company. We changed our mission statement. back to the three, we're in business, it wasn't we're in business to save our own planet, it was around building the best product, cause no unnecessary harm, and then use business to inspire and implement solutions against the climate crisis.
I can also imagine that's a heck of a step change as well for a modern company.
Yeah.
It's interesting on the family, friends side of how that, when you have to make those hard decisions and you never want to have to do it, do you? It's even when you have, as an employer, just employing.
Yes.
But when you actually start doing that with people that you respect, get on with, and you create a friendly place, and then you have to start thinking of that sort of thing, that's got to be quite soul destroying.
Yeah.
But by the sounds of it, it very much the phoenix rose.
Well, I think that was the outcome of it. Wasn't so much around the fact that the business became successful after it, because it was successful, if you can call it that, beforehand, from a profitability perspective, and then from a how much we give away perspective, it was too. There was the fact that the growth expectations were too high, and that because of that, it was a metaphor for the way that we saw what we were doing to the world.
Yeah.
We're living beyond our means, so we need to rein it in. It was about being an environmental company first and foremost, and using the outdoor components in order to be able to fuel that mission, and then to be able to say this is the reason why we're in business. How do we go about making our decisions in order to be able to reflect that? And that's made significant changes all the way through from that point.
Well, it's managing risk as well, isn't it? It's actually saying, well, okay, what's the risk going to be? Because you need to mitigate the risk a bit away from, if you like, people.
Yeah.
As much as possible, whether that's your suppliers or whether that's the people that you're working alongside.
Yeah.
And it's like you say, we see this high growth expectation all the time.
Yeah.
And I mean, we can look at what's been happening in social media just recently, and now what we're hearing on the news this morning. It's sort of like, oh, come on. It's complete opposite to me feel and philosophy, and we should just all hands up, step back, go on that.
I think there's a part there where you look at the things where we, as you think about the society that we're in, so much of it is around purchase, it's around consumption, it's around how much you can buy, how quickly you can buy it, and for what, how cheap can I get it. I do hopefully believe as well there's a bit of a change in that mentality and that mindset, but I think that's been driven by us as citizens rather than the government. I think it's us making decisions for ourselves based on the news that we've had in the last 6 months. When you think about the temperature rises, the fires, the floods, I mean, it's catastrophic at the moment, isn't it? It feels, when you look at that, and I don't think anybody can say that the climate crisis isn't actually real. It is here on
I
our doorstep.
agree with you, and I think you would as well, as a young person, or younger person.
Yeah.
They sound like you're now 5.
Not old yet, man.
For me, it also comes back to that we've got people in the UK almost saying, well, we've had a bad summer. Actually, we've had probably, compared to last year, a more normal summer.
Yeah.
Till a week or so ago.
Yeah.
But if you look at what was happening March through May,
Yeah.
I was thinking, when's the rain going to fill the water butt up again?
Yeah. It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah,
And then
it's not been normal by any stretch.
It's not been normal by any stretch,
No.
has it? Exactly. But people see us as having a bad summer, and then they're flying out to a Greek island on fire.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there. Just sat there struggling with it.
Yeah. I'm not so much questioning their actions for doing that. I think it's the questions we've got to ask yourself first and foremost. When you look at issues like the wildfires across Greece, when you look at the temperatures across Central Europe and how hot that was at that time, they're the outputs of a system. They're the outcomes of a system.
Got to find better ways of doing stuff.
We have to find better ways to be able to handle that, because it's here, it's mitigated, and irrespective of age, it's all of our issues and all of our challenges. You can't say, actually, do you know what, it's for the younger generation to handle. We're all still here too. I think it's important that for those of us that have a little bit more grey hair and a little bit older, then actually the thing that we have to do is create space for people coming afterwards to be able to put in solutions for all the things that we've all done.
I mean, I'm talking to my son some time ago now, and the part of the discussion we had was that he doesn't want children because of climate.
Wow.
And he's he lives down south, and he's actually been trying to make conscious decisions. Very much public transport. Yes, they have a car. For obviously, this day and age, you always need a car, but they try and use public transport more. Live within the means, etc., etc.
Yes.
And basically, just get out the rat race.
Yeah.
And he seems to be working for very much a people-based company, as opposed to, if you like, where he's worked before, where it's just been a company and he's just a number on the door.
Yes.
And he's finding a whole different approach to his life.
Yeah.
And I know life's good. I'm not hearing from him.
I think that's an interesting thing around working for a people-led company, because that seems to be very much what you're like too, right?
We try to be, yeah.
Yeah.
It's that, when Deb set this whole business up, I mean, we didn't just see it as a means to kind of trying to get out the rat race or be involved in something we loved. I always said, look, I just want to create something where we can support people to be better at what they do, and to give as much opportunity that we can to, whether it's athletic development or to be involved in a group, or to go for a social run, and try and create those situations, and then to bring the people in to run those groups so they get to a point that where they're pretty much self-sufficient now, but those individuals are making their own decisions, but are also mighty fine, well qualified and above the standards set by governing bodies, to lead those groups, and then to identify others that could come through and take it on again. And that's what we've always believed to do. And we see it from within running. I think there's a guy called, I've never pronounced his name, Sri Shanami, I think his name is. There's a number of races up in Scotland named after him, and he literally just had the means to be able to give young potential athletes the funding to be able to have a physio, to have a good coach, and all the rest. And he was very much about, well, if it fails, it fails, but if it's successful, it's successful. But trying to just give people this broad spectrum opportunity. And my wife, she came out of adventure racing, Debbie, and has won most things in the sport, certainly from a UK point of view. So mad as a box of frogs, them lot, but what a wonderful sport to go and watch as well, and tear around the countryside, which you can. Anyway, and she went to work for the Youth Sport Trust, and one of her job was basically going in schools to talk about how sport had a set of skills similar to going through life, like timekeeping and planning, your organisation skills. And from that we kind of realised that there was a lot we could do from a social point of view. And I know Steve, who's the UK guy for Patagonia, has always said, I love what you guys do. I think what you're trying to do, and it's like everything. It's not without it's fun and games, but you just got to keep trying to work to, at the end of the day, trying to give people an opportunity to come together to have fun.
I think that's
and to learn and educate as well.
I also think on top of that, there's an element where for lots of people it's about trying to make a difference. In work, sometimes it gets missed. It's not about the pursuit of profit. Profit's the outcome of doing all the things right. Then being in a place where you're able to do things where profit's the outcome, but you can lean in, you can do things where you feel you can make a difference and contribute to your local community, you can contribute to working together as a group and a team, and that builds its own success in a way. And if you can make sure that that's enough to keep people happy and keep people looked after, motivated, enthusiastic, committed, bought into whatever you wanted to be able to do, then I think that's really important.
Yeah, it is, and I think that goes across a whole host of communities as well, doesn't it? But it's a tough one, and it's trying to find ways of developing that. And it's interesting because again we were having this conversation while we were rebuilding a 1800s brick out toilet or whatever it was this weekend. We were talking about how do we develop things like the community and take it forward. And where do we go to with it next? Is it time to look at how we're doing that? But they were also looking at what we're trying to do within the businesses, and we got Harry and Harvey and their input on what they want and where they think we should be. Because we also see ourselves as it sounds similar to the conversation you guys have had. It's kind of trying to find a way forward when you're just in a local area or a community, but we don't have any aspirations necessarily to open up 50 stores and become something bigger. And it's trying to maintain a sense of, I don't want to use the word control, but a sense of being able to keep it together so it doesn't lose its identity.
Direction.
And that
and
direction.
being authentic to that direction.
As opposed to someone being paid to believe it.
I'm with you there. I think,
and that's something we both really struggle with.
It's the balance of scale with authenticity and credibility. And that's all led to values and how you're able to live up to those and be consistent in delivering them.
And I think it comes down to do what you can. But there's a limit to what you can do, and just accept that. And people should also be accepting of the fact that you have, whoever you are, there is a limited resource, but you can only do what you can do. But it's the fact that you're trying. And trying to do something, trying to be a little bit different. And we've had people really struggle with that whole approach, and get the leaders sometimes or the coaches coming, but you guys do so much already, so don't worry about it, just do it, just keep making this happen, it's fine. It's what we want, it's what we've set this up for. We want to see these little communities thrive. Just keep doing your thing, but if you need help or something isn't as it should be, you've just got to come and talk, and let's thrash it out and find a way forward.
I think that's why we work with you.
But
it's being rooted in the community and doing things which are important to the community, because that's based on your customers. And then your success is actually fueled by that rather than anything else. And that's why we're with Accelerate.
Yes, and I know that Patagonia do make decisions like that before they'll take accounts on, etc. And we've always been proud to say that Patagonia are with us. And get us.
We don't want to be everywhere. Can't be that, because then you can't have a point of difference. Got to have a point of difference in order to be able to be, in inverted commas, successful. Got to be able to manage things. Got to say no to a lot of things, which is never easy, but you've got to say no to a lot of things, and be consistent. Be consistent in it, and accept that maybe things don't go exactly the way that you want them to go, but learn through that and work through it, whatever it may be.
Being consistent is hard sometimes, isn't it?
It's the hardest thing ever. It's the hardest thing ever.
Not being wavered too much and just saying, actually,
no,
maybe we need to change it or tweak it, but not actually change the principle. And that's the difference, and that's got to be done all the time through conversation. All the time. And if people come to you and say, hey, I want to change something, or I think it could be done better, then we've got to listen.
I think the other thing is you want everybody to be able to have that agency.
It's tough.
So that, it's not just from I don't like using the word top, because that's not it, but it's not from the decision makers. It's actually as a group of people. Then you say, because there's things that I do when I work with Steve, Ed, Darren, Rich, Lisa, Harry, Bex, Ali, Alicia. I think it's important to name people, because they're the ones that do the work, and actually my role is to facilitate them being successful in whatever it is that they're doing, and they've got to be able to feel that they can say no to that or yes to that.
Absolutely. And it's almost back to, isn't it? It's the fact that somebody leaves your environment or your business or whatever it is. You want to be able to say, but I've helped them make that step. And we may not want them to leave or do something, but we should be proud of the fact that we've helped them achieve that point. And if we've got to that point, then actually it's the way of it, isn't it?
Cross-pollination, I always think. If you look at your values that you've got as a company, and people have learned, they've grown, but they've got another opportunity somewhere that makes more sense to them, then you have to, if you can't keep them, then you've got to support them in that, and then you hope that some of the things that they've learned goes into the new opportunity that they've got and changes the way things work over there for the better. assuming that what you're doing is right.
Yes, which
Just
actually
not to say that we're perfect, because we're not.
never is going to be. We're all human
No,
at
no,
the end
no,
of the
no,
day, and
yeah.
we've got to accept that we're also we're not perfect.
Fallible.
Yeah, that's the word I was looking for. And I couldn't find it. Thank you. Which kind of, I guess, brings us neatly on to where are we at now with Patagonia, because the news last year, I think, probably shocked so many people in the outdoor industry.
Yeah.
Well, every
Absolutely
surely.
surprised from a business point of view. Everybody sat back and went, "What?
Yeah.
How?"
Yeah.
And then obviously, I think then from a consumer point of view, maybe I suspect the message isn't quite there. It's more of an awareness as opposed to an understanding. So what happened?
What happened? So we had, in order to answer that, can I tell you about how we were told about what happened? Because it kind of led up to it a bit. We had this email that came out to say, hey, listen, everybody needs to be on a town hall at this time. So we're phased all the way across with all the different offices across the different regions that we had. So we're all getting the news at the same time, irrespective of wherever you work in the company, at wherever location. And there was loads of speculation from us all, because the first question that we all had was, let's hope that Yvonne's okay, genuinely. Then the second thing was, well, this is probably about the company. Maybe we're going to go to employee owned, or maybe we've been sold. If we've been sold, who on earth have we been sold to? So anyway, we all dial in. First thing that Yvonne says is, please don't worry, I'm not about to die, I am okay. If anybody was worried, which was the first thing that we were all asking. Then he basically just came out and said, hey, listen, I want you all to know that we're giving the company away. So our only shareholder is the earth. So how on earth do you give away everything, and how on earth do you have a shareholder as the earth? So what we've done is...
That's a really good way of putting it, actually.
In what way?
The shareholder is the earth.
The shareholder is
That
the earth.
is, people
Yeah.
may just shake their heads initially, but if you go away and think about it, it's quite profound.
It's, it's profound when you think about what you're doing. Everything that you sell is actually for the benefit.
Made my hair stand on my
hopefully.
neck.
Well, not just yours. I agree with you 100%. I think how is split? Is the company's effectively split in two? There's Patagonia Incorporated, which is where all of our business as it stands right now reports into. So the money goes into there. All our operations stay the same, so 1% for the planet stays the same. We have 1% of all those sales away globally annually every year. We've got Tin Shed Ventures, which is all part of that too. B Corp, everything all fits within that. But then the board looks at the company and says, okay, we need this much, and then everything else is then taken off and moved to another part of the company, which is called the Holdfast Collective. And the Holdfast Collective is a fund that's set up in order to be able to help champion, campaign and support environmental issues that are initiatives, that are trying to protect and campaign to protect the earth that we've got.
Because legally this was also a nightmare to set up, wasn't it? Because it just went, there was just no precedent for this.
There is no precedent for it. It's the first time that it's been done. And then even now, to be honest with you as well, we're not exactly sure how it will work. We're clearer now after 12 months. And in fact, we're probably just about to announce we're just about to give away 50 million to the Holdfast Collective, which is just the proceeds from 1 year, which would be really good. And then
That's more than some governments are actually doing, if you like, for environmental support.
it's pretty ace. isn't it?
That is just,
Yeah.
that's just phenomenal number.
Yeah. So I think when you consider, we're in the showroom, surrounded by product, and the product that we make, we do everything we can to minimise the footprint. We're doing everything that we can to reduce the impact of that product as well. Ultimately, it costs something. So whatever it costs, then you take a chunk out of it, and that goes to looking after the company, to look after those of us that work here, look after the suppliers, doing all the operations that business needs to have, and then what would be classed as profit that is then in many companies then taken off in order to feed shareholders that have no vested interest in the company. That profit is then used to be able to help campaigners, environmental organisations solve some of the challenges that we've got.
Or even, I guess, the community around your supply chain as well. The
Everything.
whole thing, upstream,
Everything.
downstream, the whole works.
Yes, everything. But looking after the supply chain is all part of the Patagonia element. So that's included all
All
in the
in
price
that,
of the
isn't it?
jacket. And then once that's all looked after, that part that's left that normally would go in to somebody's invisible pockets.
And of course, all we're talking about with some of this, if people don't know, is just as simple as building a school for a factory.
Well, that's classed as part of the cost of producing.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that.
Yes.
If we want to look at it.
Yes.
So you buy a jacket, you've helped build a school.
Potentially, as
Yes.
long depending on how that factory is set up.
But you know what I'm getting at.
100. Yes.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
that principle.
Yeah.
But it could be any number of things effectively around the worldwide supply chain.
I think the Holdfast Collective, there's 3 people that manage that at the moment. I'm hoping that they expand that team because I think that would be the coolest job ever. To go and see what you could do in order to be able to, where could I send that money, what things could I be able to do with it. But there are, we've already started to do some really cool things with it. Because the value of it is that it's, because it's not a company, it's classed as a charity, then you can do much more with that money. As a company, you can't be as philanthropic as we want it to be, but now we can. So you don't have to operate in the regions that we operate in. You can do more with it in regions that we don't operate in. You can say that we want to go to Africa to be able to do more in Africa, or that we want to go and do something in parts of Eastern Europe that we have no footprint in, but we could go and do something there if it makes sense. That's like super exciting.
Yeah, it's just
That's really
just
cool.
incredible.
Like I
Isn't it?
said,
Yeah, I know you'd be excited by that.
Yeah, what do you do with that? And we don't know yet, so that's the exciting bit.
I think it's phenomenal.
Yeah.
I can remember when I first saw the news come out, and it was sort of like, wow. I had to read the article twice,
Yeah.
if not a third time, just to understand and get my head round what had happened.
Yeah.
And I can remember having a conversation at the time about our business with them on the phone to my accountant. I said, "You just seen what?" And he went, as I said, he went, "Patagonia have done." He said, "I haven't got my head round that." He said, "That's just phenomenal."
No, still working through it ourselves.
You know, and I know he's trying to set his business up in a similar way with people first and the environment and
Yeah.
everything from putting car chargers. He's insulated this old building and stuff.
Yeah.
So we like working with him for not just that, the good
Yeah.
guys. And it's just like you start getting down to this whole
Yeah.
it's just so big.
I think there's it's really cool as well. There's other companies in the last 12 months that also done some really radical things, like Faith in Nature. Have you heard of Faith in Nature? They're
Say no then.
say no, yeah. They're a company that make cleaning products for your bath. Just
Oh yeah,
shampoos,
yeah.
shower gels, things like that. So in this last 12 months, I think it's probably about 9 months ago, they made a statement where what they've done is they've created a board member for the Earth. So, and this is somebody who's elected to the role within the company, so they are not a director in role, but they sit on the board of directors representing nature. So any decision they have a veto over, and their veto is, what would the Earth think about that? And then they all have to answer, well, actually, does this business decision that we're making make sense for the Earth? What's the impact on it? And it completely changes the dynamic of any discussion that you might have. Like, that's amazing. Like, we don't have that. That would be really cool to have as well. I think all of that's fascinating. And
I suspect you'll probably have that happening down this.
The way that we work, obviously,
It feels like you would.
Yeah, the way that we work is slightly different in that in every decision that the business makes, then there is a consideration of impact and there is a consideration of harm. So it's already there.
Yeah.
You can argue with it. It's just already in a different way. I think it goes back to what we were talking about before about being people-led organisations that are grounded in the community, where you've got people working for you and with you that want to make it feel like they're making a difference. Then that's another example of where they're able to do that. They're based in Hyde in Manchester. They're also, we share a common goal, like the electricity that we have here and the electricity that they're having too soon is actually provided by an NGO that we work with called Energy Garden. So there's solar panels on the top of Streatham's tube station where we source our electricity direct from them. So all of our showrooms, all of our stores in the UK, they all get their electricity from Energy Garden, and we pay a premium on our electricity, and that premium goes to supporting youth training schemes for disadvantaged kids in London, which is
for a lot of companies that would be very hard to do because of the cost. But
no, do you know what? It's so easy. It's so easy.
Is it easier?
It took us. I'll be honest. It took 12 months to sort out the agreement because there was no precedent for it. But we did it with Agamemnon. We did it with Agamemnon, and so we had signed up through Octopus. But the money and electricity comes from Energy Garden. We created it, and all we've done is just say, okay, we agreed on a price and we signed on the dotted line. And at that stage, yes, I paid a small premium, but the energy that we agreed to pay now is cheaper than it has been for a long time. But the money's not the money
wasn't the driver, was it?
The driver's about what you can do with it, and a simple thing like your electricity. It's about net zero. It's about being carbon neutral, but it's also about the social component, about supporting local communities where the energy comes from. It's part of a just transition. It's about doing things for the community. It's about leaving a legacy. It's about working with people to make a difference. Something that is small, where you get your energy from, everybody can make that difference easily. Everybody can.
Interesting.
Yeah. Sorry, I went off on a little.
No. It's an interesting tangent because obviously with the cost of living, it's very real, and
it is.
And we feel it as a small business, and when the electricity went up, we had no government subsidy. We didn't fall into it.
No.
And it was like, oh my giddy aunt, what do we do?
Yeah.
A little shop with over £1,000 electricity bill in the winter.
Yeah. I'm with you there.
And that was the hardest decision we had to make. Was we went away from a very green company to a not so green company, and we were not happy about it.
Yeah.
But we have identified when we can move and where we can go to, and we've spoken to that. We've actually had a conversation with that supplier, albeit at a local level with a local agency, if you like. But they've actually said, yes, we can do that.
Yeah. You could sign up.
I'm just wondering. I'll talk to you afterwards.
Yeah, you could do that. I'll put you in touch with them.
Yeah, talk to you afterwards. That would be very, very good.
Okay.
So yes. So from there, what's the future looking like? I mean, we'd love to know that, wouldn't we? Is that one where it's still a case of we've got to get through this transition because it's still so soon, or are we already looking at what we can be doing year 2, year 3, year 4?
No, let's do what I'm a great believer in saying. So we've done this action, and although it's been messy because we didn't have there's no precedent, was there? There's no precedent, so you have to work through it. Then what have we done with it? And it's actually what's happening right now. So we launched a campaign in 2017 called Save the Blue Heart of Europe, which was Europe's last free-flowing river. Right, goes from the top of the mountains, the north part of Greece, and flows down through Albania, the Vjosa, 300 kilometres long. Last free-flowing river, so no man-made obstructions on it, no dams, no anything like that. And
the photos that come out from
it is absolutely, it is unbelievably beautiful. I've been lucky to go once, and it is just a stunning place. And then there were planned 300 dams were planned on that river, if you can believe that. And there was 2 small NGOs who were campaigning against it. We've supported them over that long period, and then we announced in when would it be? April of this year, that the Albanian government have agreed to protect that full 300 kilometre long length. They've made Europe's first national river park, and it's all down to the work that those 2 NGOs have done with our support. But directly from the Holdfast Collective, then what we've done is taken 50 million, and we've used a big chunk of that to be able to help them with that national park. So you go all the way back to, can you make a difference? Then us, small team, had hostings, raised money, raised petition, supported 2 NGOs along with every other regional office in Europe, and those 2 NGOs campaigning with the government, and a government that wanted to change its mind, that realised it has an opportunity to be able to look after its community, look after its environment, look after its ecosystem and benefit from it through tourism. Then they did a complete reversal and agreed to change, and they created Europe's first national river park. which is amazing. So the Holdfast Collective, part of the Holdfast Collective has gone into that.
That's
which is
like amazing,
great.
isn't it?
So we'd like to do more of that. And outside of that, it will be funded from selling product and the way that our business operates. But that's not the outcome. The outcome of things like what we've just been able to do.
It's interesting. Is it's also we talk to. You know this anyway. We talk to a lot of companies, and it's, you know, we get reps coming. What are you going to do to make your business grow? Whereas actually, your question is, what are you going to do to make your business more green? It's almost that. It's that flip, isn't it? It's that whole change. It feels like we need the sales to do what we're doing, but actually the key here is we keep driving the sales, but ultimately what we're trying to do is drive what we do out there.
Yeah, I think there's
how we make a difference.
There's an understanding, and it's not easy, and you have to remind yourself about it constantly, that sales are the outcome of doing lots of other things right. And irrespective of whatever business you're doing, whatever you're selling, that is the truth. It is the outcome of doing lots of things right. When we get to the end product with our sales and our turnover, we then take a big chunk of that. We took a big chunk of it before, when it was 1% of our global sales. That's a lot of money. Now it's 1% of our global sales, and then we take what we need in order to be a viable business. Anything that's left, we are putting away. And we're putting away in order to be able to make a difference, because the earth is in a mess, and we really feel it. So we want to do something about it. And that's what we're doing. You trust that the messaging, the actions that we're taking as a company, as a business, and a group of people mean that people want to buy the product that we make. And knowing that what we'll do with that is then try and protect the only planet that we've got.
It's incredible.
Screw Mars, that doesn't matter.
It's just incredible, isn't it?